The Midnight Mass is not only an annual traditional gathering with the congregation ahead of Christmas. The Archbishop uses the occasion to highlight national, international and continental politics. Makgoba says the atrocities seen in the Israel-Hamas war over the last few months was unimaginable.
3 months ago, would we have believed it if anyone had told us that nearly 25,000 people, more than 20,000 Palestinians, but also Israelis, would be dead by Christmas? The American Senator Bernie Sanders put this in historical perspective this week when he told the US Congress that the destruction in Gaza was now equivalent to that of the German city of Dresden, where notoriously 2 years of bombing during World War II destroyed half of the homes and killed about 25,000 people. Gaza, he said, has matched this in 2 months.
A call was made by the Anglican Archbishop for the conflict and the war to be brought to an end.
The war must stop. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Hamas leaders must go to the table. The Americans must stop arming Israel. Iran must stop arming Hamas. And anyone else supplying weapons to those killing fields must stop to do so.
He defended the church's decision for recently allowing alleged Hamas leaders to participate in a vigil at the church last month.
I've been asked what message our church was sending a few weeks ago when we allowed Hamas leaders to join a vigil here in the Cathedral. My reply has been simple. Reflecting on the words of Desmond Tutu inscribed in one of the windows of the link at the back of this church, if you want peace, you don't talk to your friends. You talk to your enemies. In his case, when P.W. Botha government was behaving as an enemy to our people, Archbishop Desmond nevertheless repeatedly talked to Botha. And when he met Botha, he urged him to negotiate with those his government deemed terrorists who needed to be eliminated.
From the Middle East back to the African continent, Makgoba was also critical of the war in Sudan, which displaced millions of people with thousands left dead.
Our world is sick with war. In 40 different places on a recent count, the disruption which characterized the Holy Land at the time of Jesus' birth and which we see again today is replicated in Sudan, where the United Nations tell us that nearly 6 million people have been forced from their homes since 2 heavily armed military forces began a civil war 9 months ago. More than 9,000 people have been killed, and the fighting has helped to drive more than 17 million people into high levels of acute food insecurity.
He touched on how this has created a humanitarian crisis.
Just this week, fighting south and east of Khartoum forced the United Nations World Food Programme to suspend deliveries to a state where it was regularly feeding more than 750,000 people. In the face of this horrifying humanitarian catastrophe, the world has been scandalously silent.
Back at home, Makgoba bemoaned the current state of affairs in South Africa.
It is frightening to realize that as a society, we've become so worn down by lies, corruption, and incompetence that we are no longer interested in finding out the truth. We have been captured by lies. Meanwhile, as politicians begin to realize they may not be in power after the next election, their deception, scams, and fraud grow more blatant by the day as they grow hungrier and hungrier for the ill-begotten proceeds of power. They walk shamelessly and brazenly with their dirty feet through every aspect of our South African lives.
And this was his Christmas message as he gave his parting shot.
Don't fear. Don't fear standing up to those who make war. Don't fear those who abuse power, whether in public life or our neighborhoods and homes. Have hope, because we have overcome in the past and we will overcome in the future.
Despite all the challenges faced in the world, he urged humanity not to be overcome by despair. This was the third last annual Christmas sermon of Archbishop Thabo Makgoba. The last one is expected to be in December 2025, before he retires in March 2026. Mercedes Besent, SABC News at the St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town.